So there's the end of day one. Left Wales at 11 o'clock last night, got to Luton at 3 in the morning, flew out at 5, landed in Lublin at 8:30, drove up to Vadava, got my gear out of the car, and then started paying visits around forestry that I've been to before, but also new little pieces that I'm just having a look at, to be honest. So I'm going to be coming back tomorrow. Interesting shot I took today of the railway line, and a lot of the stuff I've been reading about. You know, they not only did they use the stars at night to guide themselves away from the death camp, which is literally, I don't know, about a mile that way. They would have also had the railway line on their left hand side, so they knew they were going south. So it was literally this time of year 81 years ago that people would have been, 300 people would have been running through here. Some of them went round in a circle and ended up back at the camp, and then made their way with the partisans and everything. So it must have been horrific. These forests are wild. They're wild forests, so hopefully I might see some wildlife while I'm here. Seen some black woodpeckers. Yeah, it's been a nice day. A bit tired, but anyway, see what happens tomorrow. So second day, first morning. Freezing cold conditions. I got here just in time. This is a location that I spotted yesterday, and I've had a walk in it, and it's very difficult to walk in, and you're so low that you can't get a good perspective from up high. So I've had to come up onto a bank where I can get the work to try and look down onto this area. So there's a lot of silver birch growing in there. There's pine over the back. But there's also a lot of dead trees in here, and that's just to do with the landscape that we're walking around in. It's one of the only places that, or not many places I find, where you've got bog within the forestry surroundings. The one thing that I'm not very delighted about is that I've had to take this shot from the side of the road, and obviously back 81 years ago this road wouldn't have been here, but these types of forests definitely would have been. So this was the only way I could get high enough to get the perspective, and I've got to be honest, I'm not enjoying it very much being here, because when the HGVs are driving past I can feel the ground moving. So it's about 7:30 in the morning, and as I've just been walking around a new part of forestry I've not been in before, and I'm always hopeful at finding some wildlife, to be honest, because as I say, this is pretty wild, this place, even though we're near the road, you know. I'm going further into the forest now, but there's still the possibility of seeing a great grey owl, or even a wolf, moose and bison, foxes, stuff like that. But I was imagining, you know, what it must have been like without obviously the road wouldn't have been there. This place would have been so quiet, and then all you would have heard is machine gun fire, pistols going off, the Nazis screaming at the top of their voices, partisans hiding, and obviously the people from the uprising. So there would have been like a number of different languages, Yiddish, maybe Dutch, German, Polish, all being spoken. and it would have been absolute chaos. It must have been so frightening for these people. And I've recently been watching some documentary footage that Selma Engel did. And you have to listen to it to really understand it. I mean, it's absolutely mortifying. And to think that you're in such a peaceful place now, that 80 years ago was in war, but not only in war, in a place where people were being brutally murdered. It is Holocaust country, and it stretches all the way down the border from Treblinka to Sobibor here, and then to Belgique in the south. And the railway line can link up mainly all of them to within reason. And again, what's really been fascinating is listening to Selma basically talking about the fact that whereas she's Dutch, she wasn't trusted by the Polish Jews because she couldn't speak Polish, so they could have got caught and they would have been executed. So, you know, Selma and Haim had a hell of a lot to deal with. Haim, you know, loved her, he was Polish, but, you know, he compromised all of this because he loved her so much. And they had the most unbelievable journey, but they stayed together. It's pretty amazing. So I've got to this one location in the forest, and you know, 80 years ago they were still taking wood down in the forest. There would have been like dirt tracks like the one I've just walked down, okay, but it would have been so easy to, well, you would have no idea where you're going. I mean, I can obviously hear the road because it's about a mile away, but I got to this point and I thought, I don't know whether to carry on here because it all looks so much similar that I might get lost, to be honest with you. So like there's 4 tracks leading off, so you can see how people would have become so disorientated. And what's interesting for me is that on day, I think it's day 5, some of the memoirs were actually saying how they ended back at the camp. They escaped from the camp, spent 5 days running about in a forest with people chasing them, having to deal with wildlife and awful conditions, and it's cold, you know. I think they had a little bit of rain 82 years ago, but there was still sunshine at some days, and to end up finding that you're back from the place you tried to escape. That must have been absolutely, well, I can't even imagine, to be honest.